The email notification sound cut through the office like a gunshot. I stared at my screen. 39 unread tickets, all from my queue, all overdue. My stomach dropped straight through the floor. "Marcus, my office, now!" I looked up. Diane stood in her doorway, arms crossed, her face unreadable. She'd been my manager for exactly 4 months, the same job that should have been mine. I pushed back from my desk, my chair scraping against the tile, too loud in the sudden silence. Everyone was watching. Nobody was pretending not to. I walked past Kevin's desk. He wouldn't meet my eyes. That was the first thing that felt wrong. Inside Diane's office, the blinds were shut. That never happened. "Sit down," she said. I sat. My hands were steady. My heart wasn't. "These tickets," she said, sliding a printed report across the desk, "were assigned to you 3 weeks ago. Client escalations. Every single one is now in breach of contract." I picked up the paper. My name was on every line, my employee ID, my timestamp. "I never got these," I said. She tilted her head, almost gently. "That's strange, because I have the assignment log right here, and your name is all over it." I felt the room tilt slightly, because 3 weeks ago, I hadn't even started that project yet. I set the paper down slowly, my fingers leaving a faint smudge on the corner. "Diane, I didn't touch this project until Monday. You assigned it to me yourself. I have the email." Her expression didn't change. That was the second thing that felt wrong. She should have looked confused or curious or even annoyed. Instead, she just watched me, like she already knew what I was going to say. "Pull it up," she said. "Show me." I opened my laptop. My hands weren't as steady now. I searched my inbox. The email was there. I remembered writing a reply to it just last week. Except the reply wasn't there anymore. The whole thread was gone. My throat went dry. It was here. I swear it was here. "Marcus." Her voice softened, but it didn't feel kind. It felt rehearsed. "I'm not trying to make this hard for you, but corporate is asking questions, and I need answers before end of day." I sat back, my mind racing through the last 3 weeks, trying to find the exact moment things had started slipping sideways. And that's when I realized this didn't start 3 weeks ago. It started 5 months ago, the day they announced who was getting the promotion. And it wasn't me. 5 months ago, I stood in that same conference room, waiting for Mr. Holloway to say my name. I'd earned it. 6 years at that company, every quarter above target, every client relationship I'd built from nothing. I'd trained half the people in that room. "I'd like to congratulate our new client operations manager, Diane Whitfield," Holloway said, smiling like this was the easiest decision he'd ever made. I remember the sound of my own pulse in my ears. I remember clapping anyway, because that's what you do. You smile, you clap, you don't let them see it land. Diane had only been with the company 2 years, good with people, good with charm, never stayed past 6 unless someone was watching. Afterward, she found me by the coffee machine. "I know this should have been yours," she said, soft, almost sincere. "I really do. I'm hoping we can still be a good team." I told her, of course. I told her I was happy for her. I wasn't, but I swallowed it down, the way I'd swallowed every disappointment since my father taught me that men don't complain, they perform. So I kept performing. I stayed late. I helped her learn the systems she didn't understand. I made her look good in front of people who mattered. I never imagined she'd use everything I taught her against me. The weeks after her promotion were strange in small ways I brushed off. Diane started asking me to walk her through client accounts, just so I understand the history. I didn't think twice. I opened everything: ticket systems, client notes, even my personal shortcuts for handling escalations fast. Then the compliments started. In meetings, she'd say things like, "Marcus really helped me get up to speed," and I'd feel a flicker of pride, foolish as it sounds now. I wanted her to succeed. I wanted to believe loyalty still meant something in that building. But around week 6, something shifted. I noticed my name showing up less in client threads. Kevin, my closest friend at the office, mentioned it first. "Hey, weird question. Why is Diane CCing herself on your ticket replies now?" I laughed it off. "Probably just staying in the loop." Kevin didn't laugh back. "Marcus, she's been forwarding your replies to clients under her own signature." I told him he was wrong. I didn't want to believe it. Diane had thanked me. Diane had told me we were a team. That night, I stayed at my desk long after everyone left, scrolling through old client emails, searching for proof either way. And that's when I found the first one. A message I'd written, word for word, sent from Diane's account. My hands went cold. That was the moment I should have said something. I didn't. I told myself it was a mistake. Maybe she copied a template. Maybe it meant nothing. I wanted so badly for it to mean nothing. So I kept quiet, and I kept working, telling myself the truth would surface on its own eventually. That's what good employees did. They trusted the process. They didn't cause scenes. 3 weeks later, Diane called me into a quick chat that turned into something else entirely. "I want to give you more ownership," she said, sliding a folder across her desk. "The Bramwell account. Full escalation authority. I trust you with it." I should have felt honored. Instead, something in my gut twisted, quiet and cold, like my body knew before my mind did. I took the folder anyway. I didn't want to seem paranoid. I didn't want to be the guy who couldn't handle trust. For 2 weeks, I handled Bramwell's account well. Their VP even emailed to say so. I forwarded it to Diane, proud, hoping it might repair something between us. She never replied to that email. Instead, a week later, tickets started disappearing from my dashboard. Not deleted, reassigned, quietly, without notification. I didn't notice at first because the workload just felt lighter. I thought I was finally catching a break. I had no idea I was being set up to fail in the most public way possible. And the 39 tickets sitting in Diane's office right now were only the beginning of what she had planned. Back in the present, Diane was still watching me, waiting for an answer I didn't have. "I need you to understand something," she said, folding her hands on the desk. "If I go to corporate with this today, it's not a warning, it's termination. 6 years gone over something that looks intentional." "It's not intentional. Someone reassigned these to me. I never saw them until an hour ago." "Who would do that?" I almost said her name. It sat right there on my tongue, heavy and dangerous, but I had nothing. No screenshots, no timestamps, just a gut feeling and a missing email thread that could have been explained a dozen innocent ways. "I don't know," I said instead, "but I need time to prove it wasn't me." She studied me for a long moment, and for just a second, something flickered behind her eyes. Not guilt exactly, calculation. "You have until Friday," she said. "Clear these tickets, fix the client relationships. If you can do that, I'll tell corporate it was a system error." It sounded generous. It sounded like mercy. But walking out of that office, past Kevin's desk again, I caught him staring at his screen with a strange, tight expression, like he was holding something back. "Kevin," I said quietly, "I need you to check something for me, off the record." He glanced toward Diane's office, then back at me, and for the first time in 5 months, he looked scared. "Marcus," he whispered, "you need to see the shared drive before Friday, before it's too late." That night, after everyone else had gone home, Kevin waited for me by the parking garage stairwell, glancing over his shoulder like he expected someone to be watching. "I found this by accident," he said, handing me a flash drive with shaking hands. "I was pulling files for the Q3 audit. This wasn't supposed to be in the shared folder. Someone messed up the permissions." I plugged it into my laptop right there in the stairwell, the fluorescent light buzzing above us. A folder labeled Transition Plan, confidential. My hands went numb as I opened it. Inside were documents dated back 4 months, spreadsheets tracking my ticket completion times, screenshots of my client emails, and a memo written by Diane addressed to Holloway. Marcus consistently underperforms under pressure. Recommend reassignment of high-value accounts to ensure client retention. The date on that memo was 3 weeks before she ever mentioned the Bramwell account to me. She hadn't given me ownership because she trusted me. She'd given it to me because she needed proof. "Marcus," Kevin said, voice barely above a whisper, "she's been building a case against you since the day she got promoted." I felt something break open in my chest, something between rage and grief. Every late night, every training session, every ounce of loyalty I'd given her. It was never friendship. It was a setup from the very beginning. I sat in my car in the empty parking garage for almost an hour, the flash drive burning a hole in my pocket. I scrolled through every document again, slower this time, forcing myself to read past the anger. And that's when I found the piece that made my stomach turn. An email chain between Diane and Holloway from 2 months ago. If Marcus's numbers dip 1 more quarter, we'll have grounds to let him go without severance complications. I'll make sure the workload reflects that. She hadn't just been protecting herself. She'd been engineering my failure 1 ticket at a time, 1 missing email at a time, building a paper trail designed to look like incompetence instead of sabotage. I thought about the 39 tickets sitting in my queue, tickets I never saw until this morning, tickets that had probably been quietly funneled to me over the last 2 weeks, timed perfectly to detonate right before a performance review. I thought about clapping for her 5 months ago. I thought about staying late to teach her systems she used to bury me. My phone buzzed, a text from Kevin. "Don't do anything tonight. Sleep on it. But Marcus, copy everything, multiple places, tonight." He was right. If I walked into Holloway's office tomorrow with nothing but accusations, I'd look exactly like what Diane wanted me to look like, desperate, erratic, guilty. I needed more than suspicion. I needed something Diane couldn't explain away. And sitting there in the dark, I realized there was one place she never expected me to look.
Her own calendar invites. I drove home that night but didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, coffee going cold beside me, going through every calendar invite Diane had sent or accepted over the last 3 months. Most were normal. Client calls, team syncs, budget reviews. Then I found one from 6 weeks ago, titled blank, attendees hidden except for one name that shouldn't have been there at all. Roger Aldis, head of HR. I clicked into it. The description field had been left visible by mistake, just 3 lines. Discuss performance documentation strategy. Confidential, do not forward. My hands were shaking now, not from fear anymore, but from something colder. Certainty. I cross-referenced the date. 2 days after that meeting, my first ticket had mysteriously vanished from my dashboard. This wasn't corporate restructuring. This wasn't Diane struggling to manage a new role. This was a plan, built with HR's help, timed to remove me quietly enough that no one would ask questions. I thought about Friday, Diane's deadline. Fix the tickets, or corporate finds out. Except, corporate already knew. Corporate had known for weeks. I wasn't being given a chance to save my job. I was being given just enough rope to hang myself on camera, in front of witnesses, so it would look like my failure and not her sabotage. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark kitchen a long time. If Diane wanted a performance, I decided, I'd give her one, just not the one she was expecting. Friday morning, I walked into the office early, before anyone else arrived. I sat at my desk and opened every one of the 39 tickets, one by one, and started working through them methodically, calmly, like a man with nothing to hide. By 9, Diane walked past my desk, glancing at my screen with a small, satisfied smile. She thought I was scrambling. She thought I was drowning. She had no idea I'd already sent copies of everything: the memo, the emails, the calendar invite, to my personal account, to Kevin, and to a lawyer I'd called Wednesday morning, a friend from college who handled employment cases. At 11, Diane called the meeting. Holloway's office this time. Bigger stakes, more witnesses. "I've reviewed the ticket resolution rate," she began, sliding a folder toward Holloway. "Unfortunately, despite the extension I gave him, Marcus wasn't able to—" "Actually," I said, my voice steady in a way that surprised even me, "I finished all 39 tickets by 9:30 this morning. Every client's been contacted, every issue resolved."
Diane blinked. Just once, but it was enough. That's not possible," she said. "The volume alone." "I have the timestamps," I said, sliding my own folder across the table, "and a few other things you might want to see, Mr. Holloway." Holloway opened the folder. His eyes moved down the page, then stopped. He looked up at Diane, his expression shifting from confusion into something much colder. "Diane," he said slowly, "would you like to explain this memo?" Diane's face went pale, then red, then pale again. That's taken out of context," she said, her voice cracking for the first time in 5 months. "Marcus, what did you do?" "I didn't do anything. I just stopped letting you write the whole story." Holloway held up the calendar invite next, the one with Roger Aldis's name on it. "This meeting, 6 weeks ago. You want to explain why HR was discussing performance documentation strategy on an employee who hadn't received a single formal warning?" Diane opened her mouth, then closed it. There was nothing left to say that wouldn't make it worse. "I built this department," she finally said, quiet now, almost pleading. "I needed it to look clean. Marcus's numbers were the only thing standing between me and looking like I couldn't handle the role." The room went silent. Even Holloway seemed to need a moment to absorb she'd just confessed it out loud. "So you sabotaged him," Holloway said, not a question anymore. Diane didn't answer. She didn't need to. Security walked her out 40 minutes later. She didn't look at me on her way past my desk. I didn't need her to. Kevin caught my eye from across the room and gave the smallest nod, like he understood exactly what that moment cost me and exactly what it gave back. By that afternoon, Holloway called me into his office one more time, not to question me, to offer me her position. I sat across from Holloway, the same chair I'd sat in 5 months ago when they gave the job to someone else. "I should have seen it sooner," he said, rubbing his temples. "The signs were there. I just didn't want to believe someone I promoted could do something like this." "Neither did I said. "I trained her myself." He slid a new folder across the desk. Client Operations Manager. My name typed at the top this time. I didn't feel triumphant the way I thought I would. Mostly I felt tired. The kind of tired that sits in your bones after carrying something too heavy for too long. "Take the weekend," Holloway said. "Think about it." But I already knew my answer. Not because I wanted the title, because I'd earned it twice now, the hard way, and I wasn't going to let fear of looking petty cost me what was rightfully mine again. That evening, I called my dad, the man who taught me that men don't complain, they perform. I told him everything. For once, he didn't tell me to stay quiet. "Sounds like you did more than perform. You proved something. There's a difference." I sat on my porch as the sun went down, thinking about the version of myself who clapped for Diane in that conference room, swallowing every ounce of hurt because that's what good employees do. That man was gone. The one who replaced him knew the truth now. Loyalty without boundaries isn't strength. It's an invitation for someone to use you until there's nothing left. I wasn't going to make that mistake again.